Namaskar. Good morning. Welcome again to the second session of MMPC 020 Business Ethics and Corporate Social Responsibility. You have with you Dr. Siran Mukerji, Additional Director, IGNOR Regional Center, Noida. We will continue with the second session of MMPC 020. As we had discussed in the previous session, if you would recall, my dear friends, the course structure for this course, MMPC 020, again is similar to the other courses. And there are 4 blocks, block 1, 2, 3, and 4. The first block is pertaining to ethics and business, wherein there are 4 units: business ethics and overview, concept and theories of business ethics, ethical dilemmas, and ethics and business. In the first class, which was kind of an introductory session on business ethics, we had discussed business ethics introduction, and we had also talked about the concepts and theories of business ethics. Now we will continue from where we had left last time, and we will, in this session today, we will discuss ethical dilemmas and ethics in business, which are the third and fourth units of this structure, this course, MMPC 020. Then we have block 2, which speaks of evolution and concept of corporate social responsibility. So block 2 onwards, we speak of we talk and we discuss of corporate social responsibility, various aspects of corporate social responsibility, nuances of corporate social responsibility at the national level, corporate social responsibility at the global level, at the multinational level, and the relationship between business ethics and corporate social responsibility. Then we will also, in the block 3, we will discuss corporate responsibility, corporate social responsibility with reference to particularly Indian context. And then we have the block 4, wherein we talk of the implementation, execution, and assessment of corporate social responsibility, and also how it can be made a sustainable feature in the organization. Well, this was in brief, once again, the course structure of MMPC 020, that is business ethics and corporate social responsibility. Now, let's continue from where we had left last time. We had, as I told you, we discussed concepts and theories of business ethics. Now, we will discuss ethical dilemmas and ethics in business. Well, these were the learning outcomes of MMPC 020. And as you see here in this particular course, we have a we are expected to have a clear understanding importance of ethics in business. We are expected to understand the theories of ethics. We are expected to understand the approaches of business ethics and the dilemmas to business ethics. And also, we are expected to understand the various elements related to ethics, the how ethics are concerned with individuals, business, and the societal framework of ethics. So this is basically the learning outcome of MMPC 020. Let us continue with the Unit 3 and Unit 4 of the Block 1. So at the end of this particular session, we will be through with Block 1, that is ethics and business. Okay. Unit 3, ethical dilemmas. Now, at the end of this particular session, or at the end of the Unit 3, what as a student, what you are expected to understand. At the end of this unit, the objectives of this unit will be to appreciate the nuances involved in ethical decision making. You would be able to understand what is we have already known, we have understood what is ethics. Now, as a result of this particular unit, we are expected to have a better understanding of ethical decision making, better understanding of ethical dilemmas, and we are expected to have a better understanding of the relationship between dilemmas and ethical decision making. Then, at the end of this unit, you'll also be able to develop an ability to avoid sudden reactions to ethical dilemmas. See, a situation of dilemma is very difficult. So, once we move on, we will discuss what is a dilemma. We will also discuss what is an ethical dilemma, and then we will also understand the various approaches to confronting and overcoming ethical dilemma. That is, whenever in life, in personal life or in business organization, whenever you are confronted with a situation of dilemma, then how you're going to manage that particular situation, how you should avoid sudden knee-jerk reactions to ethical dilemmas, that you'll be able to understand. You will also understand various approaches to confront and overcome ethical dilemmas. And then you will understand the concept of social accounting and its linkages with ethical decision making. So at the end of this particular unit, these are the objectives of this particular unit, and it is expected that once this unit is complete, you should be having a fairly good idea of these aspects of ethical dilemma. Okay, ethical dilemma. Now, an introduction. Let us discuss what is basically ethical dilemma. Now we know what is ethic. Now, what is ethic? Ethic is basically, as we had discussed last time, it comes from the Greek word, which means Greek word ethos, and which means character. Now, taking a cue from this particular word, we can say that ethics is basically it is related to discipline that deals with good or bad, fair or unfair. It is basically the moral principles that a person or an organization has in conducting its day-to-day activities, in managing its day-to-day affairs. So basically, ethics. When we talk of ethics, then it could be anything that is right, or anything that could be wrong. That is the principles, how they are presently, what they are presently, and what they should be. So what they are, it could be right, it could be wrong. The present system could be right, it could be wrong. And what it is expected to be, that is how it can be improved. The system can be improved. Now that could be good, again it could be bad, it could be right, it could be wrong, but it all depends upon the kind of decision making process that we are undergoing, the kind of ethical decision making we do in the organization, that determines whether the outcome is good or bad. So you see, it is not an easy situation. And what do we understand? That was ethic. And what do we understand by dilemma? Now, I'm sure you would be knowing that in our day-to-day life, there are umpteen number of situations wherein we come across the situations where we say we are in a dilemma. Now, what does dilemma mean? Dilemma means to do or not to do. That is, you are in a situation wherein you say that if I do it, this will happen. If I don't do it, this will happen. Suppose we say that, let's take a very simple example of going out in the evening. Now you are in a dilemma. If I go out, I'm wasting my time. As a student, I'm wasting my time. And if I don't go out, it might just be possible that you are going out for a particular work, for a particular purpose. Then you say that work is not getting completed. But that work might not be directly related to you as a student. So that is a situation of dilemma. Or, for example, a dilemma in the organization could be whether to give an incentive, a raise to an employee, not an incentive to an employee, or not to give. That is a dilemma. If you give incentive, the employee gets motivated. If you don't give incentive, the employee might feel discouraged, and his performance might be affected. So, in our day to day life, as you know, our day to day life is very challenging. And there are n number of situations which require us to take decisions. So, decision making process is an integral part of our life, whether it is life, personal life, or professional life. But then, whether to take the decision or not to take the decision, that is where the dilemma comes. So life basically is a challenge, and challenges of ethical decision making occurs on a day to day basis. On a daily basis, we have situations wherein we say, do we take this decision or we don't take it? Do we move ahead or we remain where we are? Like, there could also be dilemma. You are presently, let's say, in a particular job, you are professionally well settled, and then you get a very good opportunity. Now that is a situation of dilemma, whether to quit this job and take up the next job, the opportunity, avail that opportunity. Or there might be certain situations that maybe availing that opportunity would mean you traveling to a different city. Maybe that job is in a different city. Now, that is a situation of dilemma, whether to quit this job and move to another city, which means you are kind of disturbing your entire ecosystem. You are disturbing your present harmonious situation, and you're moving to a new situation, new city, which means shifting, taking all your belongings to a new place. If you have a family, then school of the for the children, that gets changed, the curriculum gets changed, your entire surrounding gets changed, your entire social environment gets disturbed. So, and it might just be possible that your wife is also working and she might not be able to quit this particular job and move to the new place. But at the same time, that professional opportunity is worth taking an opportunity because it is giving you a professional raise, not only a monetary raise, but a professional raise. So that's why, this is a situation which we call as dilemma. And there could be also ethical dilemma. Like, for example, there is a situation arises when you need to, let's say, lay off 10 people in the organization. Now, that is a really serious ethical dilemma. Ethics says that it is wrong to lay off people, but professionally, you feel that these 10 persons, 10 employees are redundant. You need to remove them. You need to ask them to give, maybe you need to give them the pink slip. So this is the ethical dilemma. So that's why dilemmas do occur in our life on a day-to-day basis, and that brings forth a lot of challenges in front of us. And then also, dilemma is, when do we call it a situation of dilemma? We call it a situation of dilemma. We recognize this, that this is a situation of dilemma when there is certain rights and wrongs. They exist together. That is, there is a coexistence of right and wrong. Both exist at the same time. That is, the right thing is for the organization is that we lay off the 10 people because we don't require them. The wrong thing about it is that we are removing 10 people and they are losing their, the maybe they are the source of earning their bread. So they are losing their daily income. They're losing their livelihood. So you see, dilemma, in a situation of dilemma, right and wrong coexist in the same at the same place. And something could be fair, something could be justified, something could be unfair, something could be unjustified. So again, that is a situation of dilemma. And one thing is also there that we are very conscious of the decisions that we are making because we are under observation from other people. All around us, there are people who are observing us and who are judging us. So we are very conscious about that situation also. And based on the judgment, it is basically the people who would judge that what he did was wrong or what he did was right. Or what he did was wrong and he could have done it this way. So situations like these warrant us to make decisions, but then the environment, the kind of situation that exists, that makes us to be in a situation of dilemma, whether we are in an ethical situation or whether once we take the decision, it is an ethical decision or it is an unethical decision. So if it is an ethical decision, it might be good for the organization. If it is an unethical decision, and the same decision could be unethical for some people, same decision could be ethical for some people. Now, what are the factors included in ethical decision? That is, there are the decisions which include other regarding actions. That is the action that we take as a result of the decision. It is other regarding, that is it impacts one's action on others. So when you are taking the decision, you would see whether the result of this decision, whether that result is impacting others or not. Obviously, there are sometimes some decisions which impact only ourselves, that is at the personal life. But then there are certain situations wherein the decision affects not only us, but it affects all the people around us, that is all the stakeholders. So that is basically the factor which is related to other regarding actions. Then the other factor, the second factor, is availability of more than one choice. Now, it might also just be possible that in a particular situation, you only do not have one or two alternatives. You might be having a number of alternatives. That is, more than one choice to decision leads to ethical dilemma. See, that is, there could be, you have one choice, that is, you are presently in a job, you have got a very good professional opening, an alternative opening. So what to do, whether to move or not to move. Another thing could be, suppose if you are not in a job, if the person is unemployed, and he gets a job somewhere outside the city, which involves him to relocate and from the present situation, from the present place of dwelling, well, that will not be dilemma because he doesn't have any source of income. So obviously, what he gets a job, he will immediately move out. But source of dilemma would be when he is already placed and he is well placed. His life is all settled. And then he gets another professional opening. That is a situation of ethical decision making. The third is perception of our actions by other stakeholders. Now, that again is very important. What other people think about us, that we need to think. Impact of one's action on other stakeholders also. That also we have to see. Maybe by, as I said, as an employee, your moving out from the job is one, you are quitting the organization, so immediately your position gets vacant, and whatever you were doing, there is a disruption in the continuity. That is one stakeholders, the organization where you're working, that is one stakeholder. The other stakeholder is your family. The third stakeholder could be your friends. So once you, the ethical dilemma could involve your, the decisions that you are taking, ethical decision that could involve other stakeholders, and therein important factor is how other stakeholders are getting affected. So because of all these reasons, whenever there is a situation wherein we need to wear our thinking caps and think, that is where the dilemma comes into play. And if it is good for us and it is harming somebody else, then if there is a right situation wherein the decision takes us to a right path, or the decision takes us to a wrong path, that is the place which is called, which involves situation called dilemma. Okay, stages of ethical decision making. Stages of ethical decision making, according to Thomas Jones, who is a famous scholar on ethical decision making, there are four stages in ethical decision making. The first stage is recognize a moral issue. That is moral recognition. You come to a situation wherein you are aware that there is a situation which involves us to take a decision, which makes us to take a decision. See, if you're not aware of it, suppose if you're not, you are supposed to move out from one job to the other. I take the same example again. You are placed in an organization, and you have got another opening, a breakthrough, and you think that you need to move from this job. You need to switch jobs. Now, you should be aware that your switching of the job causes what kind of flutter in the organization, or what kind of disturbance to the stakeholders or to the people who are around you. If you're aware of it, that is the first stage. That is, you recognize that there is a moral issue. Let's say moving out of that place, moving out of this organization and the city to another city and to another organization would mean you leaving behind your senior citizen parents there. Now, if you are aware of this difficulty, this situation, then that is the first stage. If you're not aware of it, you're not bothered, you say, no, I'm just moving, I'm going, then in that case, there is no dilemma. Dilemma is when you recognize the situation. That is the first stage. Second stage is engage in moral judgment. That is action that is more appropriate, ethical choice. You get into a judgment. You try to see the situation and you try to judge the situation, good or bad. If you are moving out, you're leaving behind your senior citizen parents there, then is it a good decision, or do you think that they can manage for a few months, and when you go there, you take your parents after some time? So that is the situation of judgment. You are into a judgment. You engage in thinking process. The third stage is when you have the intention, that is establish a moral intention. That is, you say, no, it is wrong. I moving out of this place is good. My professional upliftment is required, but at the same time, I'm taking my family. My family matters can be managed, but my parents, I cannot leave them behind alone here. So that is your moral intent. Your intent is not to cause any kind of disruption in the life of the elderly parents. So that is the place where your intention is right. You say, no, I will act, I will move, but at the same time, I take my own parents along with me. That is the fourth stage. Act according to the intention. You say, no, they cannot manage. How can I leave my own parents here? My professional growth is important, but at the same time, my family, my parents should not suffer. So I move, I settle down there. I After that I come, I take my family, I take my wife, I take my children, I take my parents along with me. So I'm giving you a very, very simple example. I'm not even talking of any business organization. I'm talking of a personal situation, personal ethical decision making situation, so that you are able to understand what does ethical decision making situation in a better manner. Next are the factors affecting ethical decision making. There are certain factors which affect the ethical decision making. One, there are two factors basically. One is the individual factor, and second is the situational factor. Now, let us quickly go and try to understand what are the individual factors that affect the ethical decision making process or decision making process that involves ethics. The individual factors are the factors that concerns individual ethical personalities making a particular decision. That is basically individual factor. Your persona, your lifestyle, your ethos, all that involves are included in individual factors. And your persona, your personality, your surroundings, your how you act, how you behave, how you think, what is your perception, all this are part of individual factors. And it depends on one's natural trait and socialization. How much part of the society you are. If you are a person who is a loner, you are not much involved with the people. If you are, let's say, single, you don't have a family, you're still not married. Only thing that you need to look to is, or let's say you don't even need to look after your parents. Let's say you have elder siblings who are they're looking after well, they're performing their duties, they're performing their responsibilities well. Then in that case, your individual decision making process becomes very simple, because all that you need to think is you need to think about yourself. You don't need to think about people around you, because there is no one. But if in case there is a family around you, which involves your wife, your children, your parents, your mother, your father, your sister, then in that case, your your decision making process would be very difficult, because you would have to think about all these factors. Secondly, the second factor in affecting the ethical decision making, impinging the ethical decision making, are the situational factors, which it includes a specific context that determines the ethical decision making. What is the environment? A specific context, the contextual aspect of the surroundings. In what situation you are supposed to take the decision? That is a very important factor in ethical decision making. Secondly, the incentive system, the job rules, prevailing ethical climate in the organization. Now, here we are talking, when it talks of situational factor, we can talk of our personal situations. We can also talk of the environment surrounding us, whether it is at home or in the business organization. What kind of job you are performing, what kind of uh, environment existing in the organization. Is it an ethical climate in the organization? What kind of organization culture exists? What kind of organization climate exists? All that affects the decision making process, whether it is ethical or unethical. Also, there are two types: issue related factors and also context related factors. If it is related to certain problem, again, whether it is a strategic problem or it is an operational problem, that has to be seen. If it's a strategic problem, that means what? There are lot many factors, lot many stakeholders who are going to be affected by this. And if in case it is if it is context related, then you have to see at that particular point of time who all are going to be affected, what all is going to be affected in the organization. Accordingly you decide, accordingly you see whether your decision is ethical or unethical. Now, ethical approaches to ethical decision making. We will take the example, we will discuss what Michael Baston, in his work, The Role of Ethics in the Framing of Decision, has explained about ethical decision making. Well, he explains how ethical approaches can be adopted in ethical decision making, and that involves finding answers to various questions. So, whenever there is a kind of dilemma, we have to see there are certain questions which come in front of us, which we confront. And how we tackle those questions, that basically is the approach to making ethical decisions. Now, what are these questions? Let's go ahead and see. What can I do in this situation? There is a particular situation, there is a particular let's say there is a particular situation, there is a particular stage which warrants us to make a decision. So what am I going to do in that situation? That now the answer to that determines whether the decision is ethical or not. So, finding answers to these questions basically frames the ethics towards decision making. First is, what can I do in this situation? There is a situation, there is a particular position which demands us to take a decision. And if I am in that situation, what am I going to do? Am I going to move ahead? Am I going to take decision A, decision B, decision C? If I take A, who all are getting affected and how they are getting affected? If I take decision B, who are going to be affected, how they are going to be affected? Is it going to be good for the others? Is it going to be bad for the others? If I take this situation C, decision C, then who all are going to be affected and how they are going to be affected? Is it going to be beneficial or is it going to be harmful? So, depending on these various what do you call alternatives, we are going to take the decision, and that is where dilemma exists. The second question: what outcome will the action have? We have three situations. We say that if we take the decision A, this is what going to happen. We take the decision B, this is what going to happen. We take the decision C, this is what is going to happen. So we have to see, first of all, we should have the knowledge of these situations. Then we should have the knowledge of the outcomes. Now again, knowledge of the outcome, we should have certain idea, but it's not necessary that we take a decision and the outcome is known. In uncertain situations, the outcome might not be known. We might not be certain about the outcome. If there's risk involved, there will be uncertainty. But yes, even in that situation of uncertainty, we have to try to identify the alternatives based on the environmental factors, and then we decide. And then, of course, time will say whether the decision that was taken that time, whether it was ethical or it was unethical. But then from our side, the decisions that we take, we should see, we should study, we should analyze it well, so that at least the decision does not harm. Knowingly, it doesn't harm anybody. Unknowingly, one can't say. Third question is, what is the goal? Assessing the various outcomes of the effort and the moral intent. What is our intention? If our intention is to cause problem for the others, then it's an altogether different question. But if in case our intention is good, our intention is sound, then in that case, we make the decision, we make the ethical decision. However, the results from our side, we try to do the best. We try to see that nobody gets harmed, none of the stakeholders get badly affected, badly impinged. But then it might just be possible that we also know that it is not possible to please everyone in every situation. So there might be few persons, few people who might be affected in a good way. There might be few people who might not be affected positively. But then we should try in the organization or at home, at the personal level or the professional level, we should try that our actions do not have any kind of harmful effect on others. Okay, kinds of ethical dilemmas. Decisions in professional capacity, as we know, professional, whatever decisions that we take at the professional level, in the professional arena, it influences a large number of people. It has many stakeholders. So that is where a very well thought out, judicious decision making process is involved. And this is the place where adequate training and education is required. And that is where business ethics education has an important role to play. And it should, such kind of training, such kind of education has to be provided to the employees, which helps the employee to decide, to distinguish, to distinguish between the right and the dilemma situation. What is a right situation and what is the situation of dilemma? That is which involves good or bad, right or wrong, moral decision or immoral decision, which involves a moral ground or immoral ground. So based on this, we can define the various kinds of ethical dilemmas. Now let's see how many kinds of ethical dilemmas exist in the organization. There are basically 5 kinds of ethical decision making dilemmas. I hope students, you are with me. I hope I'm making things very clear. I hope you are able to understand what I'm saying here, what I'm trying to explain, and we are all at the same wavelength. We are all at par in our thoughts here. So, continuing from what we were discussing, there are basically 5 kinds of ethical decision making dilemmas. Decision making dilemmas. Dilemma is A or B, B or C. That is the situation of dilemma. So, what are the 5 kinds of ethical dilemmas? Decision making dilemmas. We have the personal morality versus professional morality. The second dilemma is individual welfare versus, like, it might just be possible that you make a decision which would have cause welfare of one person, but on the at the other hand, it might harm the other people. So we that is again a ethical dilemma. Whether to do this, if we take this action, maybe we are doing good to 3 persons, but we are doing bad to 10 persons. So do you think that this decision is to be taken? No. So that is where our intent comes to play. That is where our awareness comes into play. That is where our ethical education plays an important role. The third kind of ethical decision making dilemma is short term or long term. Whether the decision that we take, whether it has a short term repercussion or a long term repercussion. Is it a serious repercussion or it is a minor repercussion? Then corporate need, or is it a corporate, the decision that we need to take, is it an absolute essential decision wherein we have not much of a choice, or it is a decision coming out of greed? Let's say we say that the we try to develop a certain range of products which is in a way causing harm to the environment, but the company is seeing that by developing this product, by selling it in the market, is going to earn a lot of profits, but the product might be harmful to the environment. It might cause some kind of ecological disbalance. So do you think, what kind of dilemma is this? Ethical dilemma is this? Whether to manufacture or not to manufacture. If we manufacture, it is a straight away result as example of corporate greed. It is not corporate need. Maybe the organization is doing very well. It doesn't need to develop such kind of product, but then it sees that by developing such kind of product, by selling such kind of product, its profit is going to have is going to increase multifold. So this is the dilemma: is greed or need? If it's need, the choice is right. But if it is as a result of some kind of temptation, some kind of greed, it is not at all ethical. Then error in judgment versus arrogance. People are telling you that this particular decision is not right. It is going to cause harm to the environment. It is going to cause ecological disturbance. Still, you are hell bent on moving in that direction. So that is basically the arrogance, which is playing an important role in the ethical decision making dilemma. Or the other way around, error in judgment. You take the decision, but then there is your intent was right, but maybe the situation turned out to be something wherein it caused harm to the environment. So these are the various kinds of ethical decision making dilemmas. Now let's move on. Now we'll study the a very interesting navigation wheel, ethical navigation wheel, which has been proposed by two Norwegian scientists, uh, Val and Overget. They suggested this in their paper Ethical Navigation in Leadership Training, and which was published in Nordic Journal of Applied Ethics. They proposed this ethical navigation wheel to overcome ethical dilemma. They said that by trying to make a judicious decision by considering all these six factors, which are the various which are available, which are present at the at each of the spokes of the wheel, a person, a manager can overcome ethical dilemma. Now what are these factors? They are law, identity, morality, reputation, economy, and ethics. Law. Now, whenever there is a situation in front of the organization, in front of the managers, it will be very easy for them if they try to see whether the decision that they are making, is it legal or not. If it is legal, see, they are ethical. If it is illegal, that means it is unethical. Then identity, mapping with values. Well, every organization has certain mission, vision, values. Now, the decision that the organization, that the management is making, whether that decision matches with the values or not. If it matches with the values, that means the decision is ethical. If it does not match with the values, that means the decision is unethical. Morality, is it right or wrong? Reputation, impact on the goodwill of the organization. So if we know that this particular decision will have long-term positive effect on the goodwill of the organization, it will increase the reputation of the organization, then go ahead. There's no harm in taking the decision and implementing the decision and going ahead with the actions. But if we see that such taking this particular decision and implementing the action, by going ahead with the work, it is going to affect the reputation, it's going to negatively impinge the reputation, then we should not take the decision. economy, what impact will it have on the firm's profits. But always profits are not seen when it comes to ethics. You have to see other factors also, like we saw here: personal morality, individual welfare, long term factors, corporate need factors. All these factors also have to be seen. And then ethics, challenge of justifying. Once you take the decision, you cannot turn back, you cannot reverse it. If it is implemented, it cannot be reversed. Then, in that case, what do you do? So, you have to justify. If there is a wrong situation, it gives rise to a wrong kind of situation, detrimental situation. Then, in that case, will you be able to justify yourself? Will you be able to justify your actions? If yes, fine. Then it is ethical. If you are not able to justify, that means the decision was unethical. Okay, now we move to the next unit, that is ethics in business. That is the fourth unit of MMPC, of block 1 of MMPC 020. What are the objectives? At the end of this unit, you would be able to appreciate the relevance of ethics in business. See, the previous unit, that is ethical dilemma, was a general unit. Now, here we are specifically talking in terms of business. You'd be able to understand and appreciate the individual, organizational, societal factors in business ethics. And once we are through with this fourth unit, it is expected that you would also be able to appreciate the triangular relationship between business, government, and civil society organizations, because they are very closely linked. Then you would also be able to appreciate the changing ethical mandate of business. Okay, components of business ethics management. See, business ethics in the organization, the ethics in the organization also has to be managed. And what are the components? The components are, according to Crane and Matten, the critical components of business ethics managements are as follows. See, the first one is the mission and vision value statement. Mission or the value statement. That is, now we know, we have already studied in other courses, but still we will just quickly have a recap. What is a mission statement? It is the general statement, it is the generic statement related to the aims and values of the organization. That is, mission statement is, it's like, why does it exist? What is the mission? What is it states for? So mission and value statement is a very, very critical. It is locus standi. Mission is basically the locus standi. Why does the organization exist? So it is a very, very critical component of business ethics management. So if we say that we are existing in this business environment, and one of our mission statement is to produce products which are environment friendly, so you will never take a decision which is going to harm, which the results of which is going to harm the environment, is going to cause some kind of ecological disbalance. The second component is code of ethics. That is, what kind of professional integrity and employee expectations the organization has. So based on the expectations that the organization has from its employees, the business ethics can be managed. If we know what we expect from the system, if we know what we expect from the employees, then only we will be able to make a judgment. Then only we will be able to manage the ethics in the organization. If we are not aware of it, then what difference does it make what a person is doing, whether the person is doing wrong or right? Then reporting advice channels, available channels to report see, if there is, every organization has got something like, vigilance section, vigilance department. It has internal complaints committees. So if such committees exist, wherein when people see that there is something wrong happening, they can come and complain, they can come and give their suggestions, They can come and report that the matters. Then we can say that we are able to manage the ethics in the business organization in a very professional and competent way. But if in case the organization does not have any kind of, let's say, vigilance department, it does not have any committee which looks at the complaints of the employees, it does not have any committee which looks at the production process, the quality control process, then in that case, can we manage the ethics in the organization? No, we cannot manage. So this is again, this existence and availability of such kind of platform in the organization is absolutely essential. And if we have such kind of platform, then we can say that we can manage the business ethics in a more effective and efficient manner. Risk analysis and management, then ethics and vigilance officers and committees, there should be proper awareness amongst the employees. See, it's just not the people who are in the committees, it's just not the people who are in the top management who should be aware of the business ethics. This should also percolate down at all the levels. The employees at the operational levels, at the lowest level, the employees, everybody should be aware, they should be made aware, they should be trained, they should be educated about the various ethical aspects of the work that they are performing. And if they don't do it in a particular way, then they should be made aware that this particular way of doing thing is ethical and this particular way of doing thing is unethical. So they should be aware so that they are themselves able to judge. Then ethics education and training related matters, that is very important. As I said just now, we have to make our employees aware of the various situations which warrant us to take or make ethical decisions. Then there'll be least existence of dilemma, least chances of existence of dilemma. Financial issues connected to auditing, there should be proper auditing, there should be proper check, there should be proper quality control. Once all these things exist, then only we can say that yes, the situation is under control and minimum dilemma exists. And even if there is a dilemma, the employees are able to take the right decision. Individual factors, then there are organizational wrongdoings, and then there is moral weakness. Now let's quickly go through individual factors in business ethics and leadership. Individual managerial conduct is the most important, how the managers conduct in the organization, because they are the people who are setting an example for the others. Then individual, business, organization, and society. These are also important factors because they are the various stakeholders in affecting the business ethics. Then faulty managerial decision making. That is again an important factor in ethics, business ethics, and leadership. So see, however the top management behaves, that has an impact on the lower level employees. So how they behave, they set an example to the others, for the others, they set an example for the others. So this is a very, very important factor. Defective reasoning, ignore means to achieve the gains. That means come what may, whatever is the method, you adopt that and you achieve the gains, you achieve the you accrue profit. That is not right. Ignore ethical questions, again that is not right. These are the various individual factors which one has to consider for taking ethical business decisions. Take premature conclusions. No, you have to wait, you have to see, you have to consider. You cannot afford, you being at the top management, you cannot afford to take premature decisions or hasty decisions, as we may call it. Then limited information, whatever decisions you are taking, if it is supposed to be ethical, it has to be based on very, very in-depth research and analysis. investigation, detailed investigation has to be conducted, then only you take a decision. Then organization climate affecting the or influencing the individual decision making. Again, whatever as an individual the manager is doing, whatever decisions the manager is taking, he is being affected by the organizational climate and the culture that exists. So it's not necessary that always as an individual the manager is at fault. Sometimes even if he wants to take the right decision, maybe the organizational factors are such which are compelling him to stand back. Now, organizational wrongdoing, according to Donald Palmer, yet another important, very, very famous scholar of ethical decision making, Donald Palmer, organizational wrongdoing is attributed to four factors. Now, when does an organization go wrong? Now, organizational wrongdoing or unethical decisions taken by the organization, when does it happen? When there are incorrect power structures, that is when the system is extremely centralized and there is absolute autonomy, there is no autonomy at all, and there is top down approach. That is, it is the whole structure is power structure is completely centralized. There is no scope for decentralization, there is no scope for participation for the lower level employees. That is where sometimes unethical decisions are taken, and it gives rise to organizational wrongdoings. That is what happens is this the strategic level, top level management, they're not listening, they don't want to see what is happening at the operational level. So do you think they'll be able to take the right decisions? They will not be able to take the right decisions. Then administrative systems, what kind of administrative systems exist? If it is a centralized administrative system, again, that will result in, at times, not necessarily, it will result in unethical decisions. Situational social influence processes, influence of the society, the culture, these factors, the external environment, that would affect the organization and might result in wrong decision making. Accidental technological systems. Now technology, again, it is not in the hands of the people. There might be some glitches, last minute technical glitches, because of which the system goes wrong and a wrong decision making happens. So these are the various factors which are attributed to the organizational wrongdoings, or organizational wrongdoings happen because of these four different kinds of factors. Now, ethics at workplace and moral muteness. What do we mean by moral muteness? Moral muteness is a situation when the managers, they will act morally, but they will not speak about it. They are mute about it. They know what is good and what is bad. They themselves will believe that they will continue doing the good things. They continue following the ethics, but they don't speak about it. That is basically what is moral muteness. Now, this basically concept of moral muteness has been given by Frederick Bird and Waters, and according to them, most of the managers are not keen to speak about morality in the workplace. According to them, they say that mostly the employees, especially the managers or top level management or the middle level management, who are actually the people who are managing the employees at large, they don't want to speak about morality. Why? Because they are being influenced by various external factors. They are being pressurized. The pressure could be very, very it could be evident, or it could not. It might just be possible that it is not evident. So to study on the manager's moral muteness, they mapped congruence between managerial speech and action. What does the speech of a manager say and what does the action say? They try to find out a relationship between the two in order to find out the reason for moral muteness. See, they categorized it into four groups. The first group is some managers have complete moral congruence between the speech and action. That is, the speech is complementing the action, and action is complementing the speech. That is, there's a complete match between the speech and the action. The second one is some managers have amoral congruence between the speech and action in their, that is their, the speech and action does not match. They're saying something, they're doing something. That means you cannot have faith on them, you cannot trust them. The third category of managers are some managers, they lack agreement between the speech and their action. That is, they are hypocrites. They might say that no, 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 we should look after our employees well, but at this, but what they're actually doing is they are uh, doing layoff, they are removing the employees, whereas they say that no, 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 we should not, we should look after them, they are our assets, but they try to take such decisions which harms the employees. And the fourth category of managers are those who act morally but they don't speak about it. They are, this is basically called, known as the moral muteness. Now, why moral muteness? Now, why do the people indulge in moral muteness? Why do they remain, they do the right thing but they don't, they fear to speak about it because they want to avoid the conflicts, because they see that conflicts vitiates the workplace atmosphere. So they know that if they speak about it, that might cause some kind of confrontation. So this, what they think, that let me as an individual employee, let me continue doing the right thing, but we will not, I will not speak about it to others. I will not speak about it to the, what others want to do, let them do. But I myself, I will be at the right path. I'll be in the right path. I'll continue to do the work. Affect the workplace efficiency. They believe that it begin observed of managerial actions, and moral muteness affects the organizational culture. How it kinds of creates a moral amnesia. That is what the what, there are few people who will continue to do the work in a moral way, in an ethical way, whereas the others will continue to do the work, whatever the case may be, whichever the case may be. Inappropriate narrowness in the conceptions of morality. Also, moral muteness affects in such a way that it stresses, morally stresses individual managers. The neglect of moral bruises, because you know, you are not, you are only looking at what you are doing, you are not looking at what left is happening and what is happening in the right. So that is kind of you are neglecting, you are trying to overlook. And decreased authority or moral standard, it leads to decreased moral standards, because you are not speaking out. You should be able to speak out, tell that yes, this is wrong, right, and this is wrong. If it is wrong, you say that it is wrong. Now, ethical issues in relationship between government, civil society, organization, and business. Well, it's very important, you know, in the organization, the internal factors as well as the external factors, that is the external stakeholders. That all those also external stakeholders also have an important role to play in ethical decision making. External stakeholders. Now, what are these external stakeholders? External stakeholders are like the government, the civil service organizations. That also impacts the business ethics. Well, we discussed the dilemma today, business ethical dilemmas. Now, we hope to continue in the next session, that is the third session of MMPC 020 in the next week, that is on Thursday. Till then, stay safe, do engaging academic studies, and please, 31st March is approaching, please try to solve the assignments and submit your assignments. Next week we will discuss block 2, evolution and concept of corporate social responsibility, which is, let me tell you, a very, very interesting concept. Thank you so much. Namaskar.